As we look at this subject of family, we're going to start by looking at the profound change that should take place in our relationship with our parent or parents or whoever were our main caregivers as we grew up. The change from being a child and completely dependent upon them to a healthy independence as an adult. And even though we may be very involved in each other's lives, we make our own decisions together with our partner. It's in this sense that in marriage, we've left our family of origin, even if we're still living in the same house, and created a new family unit. As the verse in Genesis 2 says, "For this reason a man and a woman will leave their father and mother and be united to each other."
The importance of leaving our parents can easily be missed, particularly in those parts of the world where people who are getting married have generally moved out of their parental homes some years earlier. Yet the significance of leaving is not so much the physical move as the psychological and emotional one.
It can be helpful to think in terms of the home and the family we were born into being our centre of gravity, from which we moved out in ever-widening circles of exploration and independence. But the centre remained the home to which we initially had to return, and to which later we may have chosen to return when we needed comfort or advice, or money was short, or the laundry had piled up. The home where we grew up can often remain the primary place we look to for direction and security. After marriage, this has to change. We create a new unit, a new decision-making structure, a new centre of gravity. Creating this new centre doesn't mean cutting ourselves off from our parents or parents-in-law or not loving and respecting them, but our highest commitment and loyalty must now be to each other. We now, as a couple, relate to and care for our parents, and we may need to help them relate to us as a couple.
Boundaries are not just about physical space. Boundaries are primarily a psychological and interpersonal construct. You can be in a phone booth and still have good boundaries. So a lot of times where you see this boundary problem played out is in control and manipulation, which is really when the desires of, the parents are stepping over into trying to get the couple to steer their direction of their relationship. One of the important things to remember is a couple is a couple. You've really become this one unit, even though you're still two individuals. So it's really important that if you're going to present a united front, that you actually have one. It's hard to present something you don't possess. And so get together. Now, here's where a lot of times real growth happens with one of the spouses, because you're trying to say, we need to have more time away from your parents, for example, if you're talking to your spouse. Well, what if the other one's kind of still afraid of their parents? So now you got a situation where spouses can help each other to grow and say, you know what, I really need to be first in your life. And sometimes I feel like your mother is, or sometimes I feel like your father is. So can we talk about how we can be first and what our marriage needs? And then I'll be glad to stand with you when we present that. I can't do that when I feel like, we're not on the same page.
Our family may well have lots of good advice to offer. Certainly, Nikki and I have benefited hugely over the years from our parents' advice in lots of different areas.
But a golden rule we eventually learnt for ourselves was this: never to decide on an important issue with one of our parents or wider family without having first discussed and agreed on the issue together ourselves. For example, we decided we wouldn't make a plan to go on holiday with them without having first agreed it with each other. We got that wrong on a number of occasions in the early years of our marriage. Not that we didn't enjoy being with them, but we realized we needed time on our own on holiday to have fun and strengthen our connection as a couple and with our own children.
Equally, it's been really important not to make financial arrangements and decisions with either of our parents without the other being fully informed and involved in the process. When we support one another and put in a right boundary, it gives us a great sense of emotional closeness, and it prevents family members from driving a wedge between us.